All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to Monday Night Law here in Kirk's Law Corner. How's everybody doing tonight? I want to thank everybody for their comments and stuff on our Friday night fun night ish with Jason. I guess that went over pretty good with y'all out there. Y'all enjoyed that, huh? Say hi to everybody out here. Let's see, we got Dreaming Deer, Windy, Tiger. Good to see you. Rita Pop. Diesel D's. Good to see you, brother. Just a quick comment from Diesel D's. Well, he hasn't made the comment yet, but his case got dismissed today. That's at least two cases, right? Munson 58 out on Rumble. Hello, and thank you for the audio check out there. Scrimshaw, good to see you. You're like the first one to make a comment tonight. We're on YouTube. D Danzer 1, you liked that one. All right. Third Eye Knowledge, CC from Alaska. Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed hanging out with Jason on Friday night there. That was pretty good. And again, that whole thing was all just on a whim. Kind of like tonight. Now, I was trying to go through this other case here, the West Virginia versus the EPA. I'm trying to find where I remembered reading in there about Supreme Court saying that Congress actually didn't have the authority to create the EPA. And this was decided, June 30th of 2022. So just a little over 2 years ago. Right, Diesel D's, two most beautiful words in legalese. Case dismissed. We like that. We like those words. James, good to see you, brother. Jax, good evening, Jax. So, June of 2022, and the Supreme Court saying things like that Congress has no authority to create these three-letter agencies. And we're tie this into what's going on right now. What's coming? Kind of what we talked about Friday night, but all this stuff's foreign to our form of government. The fact is that that's not the intent of creating the federal government. It was to regulate war and foreign commerce. Hey, Greg out there on Facebook. Good to see you. Right? The numbers aren't properly shown on my social media stuff, as they don't want the truth being popular. Well, I'm very thankful for the followers that I do have, and still being able to continue on without getting heavily censored. They've tried to take me down before on Facebook, and I was able to save it. They tried to take me down on YouTube, and that's the reason why I took down all the videos off of YouTube. But, you know, all the videos that I've ever done with Chris, with John, special guests, they're all still on my Facebook page. I didn't have to take them down. But haven't had any problems with Rumble. Haven't had any problems with Telegram, with the exception of that one video that I have had to upload that sucker, 3 times now? On Telegram, the one where my 3 minutes addressing the legislature during the whole COVID-19 pandemic. That's the only one that seemed to have disappeared off my Telegram. I got no notification that it was removed or anything like that. Diesel for We the People News. Good to see you here tonight. Wanting me to explain impeachment of judges and states quick version. Well, the quick version is the House has the sole power of impeachment and the Senate has the sole power to try all impeachments. We're supposed to be doing petitions to the legislature for the redress of grievances and demand that they be impeached and removed from duty. Thomas Klein, good to see you. Some Idaho peeps on here tonight. Anybody from Idaho? I think Thomas, you're from Idaho, if I remember right. I talked to you on the phone before. But going to start doing some meetings for Idaho as these numbers start rolling in. For Idaho, and I highly recommend everybody else getting on board with what we got going on, and let's get this assembled. Mark Bond, how are you, brother? Well, Diesel for We the People News, you have to file the petition to the legislature. Do your prayer for relief and demand it. Got to follow due process of law. Yeah, Jax, you're saying they're still counting ballots in PA. I thought the same thing with California. Thanks, John, from John Orlando from YouTube over there. Hello out there to KJG on Rumble. Thanks for being here. So part of the executive order was at 13. I want to say it was 13714. And it was the complete audit of the entire executive branch. This was done by Trump. And this was, I believe, it was March 14th. So it might not be. Yeah, March 14th of 2017. It's 137 something. But complete audit of the entire executive branch. And looking for, excess. Things that don't need to be there. Any duplicate agencies and, basically downsizing and that kind of stuff. So, I've put this stuff out there already, and I've talked about it before, about how DC, District of Columbia out there, how they've been boarding up these places. Like the FBI building in Washington, D.C. That's been long time ago now, boarded up. So, Penguin 6 and Nancy Drew out there, I catch them from time to time now, but I get it. When I first started catching them and they were strolling around town there and showing the fences going up and on the outside of these buildings, and then they're boarded up. They're saying that, they're going in and they're doing remodel and that kind of stuff. Stuff's already happened. Right? In my mind, I'm thinking this stuff's already been shut down. FBI, CIA, it's already happened. So, I think the way Trump's playing this is he's telling us that he's going to get rid of all this stuff right now. The reality is it's already done, based on that executive order from March 14th of 2017. A lot of what we're dealing with now is just local corruption. And this whole new Trump administration, some of them have a pretty checkered past. So, this goes to the keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. It goes into a possibility of, deals being made for them to perform certain duties, and they have the inside information regarding certain things that's happened within those particular agencies and that kind of stuff. So, who better to appoint to those positions as oversight for those particular agencies than these people that have the inside information already? Remember, Trump's not a politician. He's a businessman. And yeah, they're trying everything that they can think of to pull out of their dirty, rotten little arse there to stop Trump from coming in. And it's not going to work. Because the reality is we're under martial law. Trump's already the commander-in-chief. He was inaugurated by the military in 2020 as commander-in-chief. I know this is a hard concept to comprehend and then understand, but we're at war. So there was no real election for 2020. Trump is a wartime president, commander-in-chief. There is no president. A lot of this stuff is supposedly done by Joseph R. Biden, as in name only. and to wake people up, right? The people have to feel the effects of this corruption. And now, this last election cycle that we just went through was to show the people the numbers. And the difference between 2020 and 2024. There's a heck of a lot of extra numbers, or less numbers than there were from 2020. So, and I've seen it out there. People are looking at that. And think about all of the people in the last 4 years that have gotten on board that didn't vote before. And then all of the Democrats that switched sides because their party is just falling apart. It's failing big time. It's being exposed for the corrupt party that it is. Now, I'm not saying that the so-called Republican Party isn't corrupt as well. But I can tell you right now, there's a new Republican Party. And it's in alignment with Trump and what he has in the military, because Trump and the military are working together on all this. So this is all part of the plan. And I know that, that's just whatever. It's in the federal directives, a 7-year plan from the military. And like I've said before, I think the 7-year plan started with Executive Order 13818, December 20th, 2017. The 7-year delta would then be December 20th, 2024. That's next month. Almost exactly a month from today, a month and a couple days. So I'm expecting to see some serious shit hit the fan. And again, Washington, D.C. is a frickin' ghost town. It's already been taken down. That's the reality. That's the truth. And we can all go check out Penguin 6 and Nancy Drew on YouTube. Facebook with Nancy Drew, and I think it was on Telegram too. But they're the ones that are out there strolling around and showing us that it's just frickin' barren. There's nobody there. Very, very few people roaming around D.C. It's not the same, little busy bee city, town, whatever you want to call it. So, how do we how do we reconcile the fact that those buildings are empty, D.C. is empty, places have been boarded up? What does that mean? Does that not mean the takedown? I think it does. It's plausible, it's logical that that's what that means. And again, like Brother Tony Pellegrino trying to do a petition into Congress, and they hired a process server to take that petition into D.C., into the Capitol, to file that with the clerk of the court there, or clerk of the House or Senate. And they tried 3 different times. They were not allowed in to the Capitol. Even with, hey, look, I'm a process server. I have documents to serve Congress. Nobody's getting in that Capitol. Not unless you're authorized to be in there. And it kind of makes me wonder if that's where they're actually meeting. If they're meeting there, where are they meeting? We're seeing some of these hearings going on, so they may be there, or they might be in a different place. I don't know. But all I know is that a process server could not get into the Capitol. to serve the House or the Senate with a petition. Well, technically speaking, we're already under martial law. Been under martial law since 1863 with the Lieber Code and the General Order 100. Really has never been settled, and this goes back to the National Assembly stuff, and why we're trying to reassemble and stuff is because of the Reconstruction Acts of 1871. The government is government de facto, but they're providing these 19 essential governmental services until we, the people, reassemble. The people haven't reassembled government de jure, lawful government. That's what de jure means. De facto means illegitimate. So it's up to us, right? That's just our form of government, of the people, by the people, for the people. So where are the people? We have to assemble. We have to do the jural covenant of office and oath. Essentially, it's a covenant unto God to uphold God's law, and the oath is the no firmer bond among men than an oath. So basically, that's the declaration of status as one of the people. That's the status here in America. All political power is inherent in the people, not American state nationals. That's all shmoo by the bar under Roman civil law, the code. So, no, I didn't see that today. Danny G over here on Telegram said, did we see Elon Musk using the term de facto today? All caps, false prophet. When did the people unassemble? Civil War, 1870 or 1863. Then the Reconstruction Acts of 1871. Everything fell apart. It's all been government de facto since. By the time of the 1930s, they've pretty much all but gotten rid of our common law courts. And more specifically, right around the 1946 with the Administrative Procedures Act. To better secure the judicial branch and ease of access and supposed due process of law. Johnny Black Cloud here on YouTube. So if you look at the pic, there's a storm cloud over DC and a red circle with a red line through it. That, the storm, right? Yep, yep. I do recall that. Trump talking about word salad. So, oh, and now Obama too, huh? Yeah, I guess they're still watching even after Chris is gone. Hmm. Good question out here on Rumble. KLJ or KJG. Sorry. If there is no president and Trump is commander in chief, then why can't he just go on TV and tell people that we need to all get together on the National Assembly to take our local communities back? He did at the inauguration speech back in 2017 that he was putting the power back into the people's hands. Where are the people? So many people want this served to them on a silver platter and fed to them when we're supposed to know this. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Aside the fact that it's a military operation. That's just not how things are done. They don't just come right out and tell us exactly what we think they should come out and tell us to do. This is up to us. We're the ones with all the power, not Trump. No, they're all public servants. We, the people, have all political power. We, the people, are the sovereign body politic. We create, we alter, we reform, we abolish. We're supposed to know this. He has said it many times that he's put the power back into the people's hand. He's waiting on the people. And here recently, he even brought up the Restore America. What a coincidence that website, restore-america.org, just came up, and I was literally within just a few days after it was up, I was putting it out. And I want to thank everybody that has gone over there and filled that interest form out and getting on board. That is such a good way to do that. Whole lot better than trying to go through the national-assembly.net website and going on the boards or sending an email to content manager 1 at yahoo.com and trying to get connected that way. So again, thank you, Destry, and all those that have worked on that website, have been working on that website, and still continue to work on that website, as well as try to, figure that out, how to deal with all the incoming messages and stuff. There was a comment there Thursday night about, well, I sent the chat there and nobody responded. Well, there might not be somebody sitting there 24/7. Okay, we're all just regular people like everybody else. Got things going on. Some still, working regular jobs. This is all volunteer. People volunteering to do that. So please take it easy on the ones that are doing what they are doing to make this all work. I mean, we're not robots. We got to eat, we got to sleep, we got to work, and God forbid, play, have some fun. But, be kind out there to the people on the backside of this website. They're working their tails off frickin' every which way to Sunday. So, but it seems to be working because I'm getting a few people from Idaho that are going on there. And hopefully with this other connection that's going on with several people from in Oregon that have friends over here in Idaho. So I've been like recently in contact this Saturday with quite a few people and said, look, I'm going to be holding a meeting here soon. We need to get 35 people together, dedicated to this, and get Idaho's paperwork done, declared, and go into interim. And I think with everything that's been going on the last 4 years, more and more people are waking up going, what can we do? This is it. Ultimately, this is it. The people need to reassemble. We claim our power. Otherwise, again, we're stuck under this continuity of government, a provisional government pending the outcome of the war. That's Texas v. White, pursuant to Article 4, Section 4. This is the powers of the Commander-in-Chief. Right? Where are the people? I mean, who is Trump as the Commander-in-Chief supposed to turn it back over to if the people aren't there? There's no legitimate government in the sense of government de jure, except for this provisional government, which that's the power of Commander-in-Chief, not President. These are military powers. This is so that our republic doesn't get stolen. It's being given back to us. It's up to us. Do we want it? Benjamin Franklin was asked, what have we wrought? A republic if you can keep it. Do we want to be self-governed, or do we want to go back to like a monarchy or at this point it would be closer to an aristocracy or even a democracy. But that's not the form of government our founders created, which was a confederacy, a confederate republic. Really starting to bug me, people out there, like even Elon Musk and Trump and them all calling it democracy. So yeah. All right, Mark. 1871, 1913, 1933, 1945, 1948, etc., etc. They keep the steel going. Absolutely. Yeah, I know there's quite a few people here making comments about democracy. If you followed me for any length of time, you know for a fact we're not a democracy, and yeah, it's just it's like nails on a chalkboard. You just can't even stand to hear it anymore. I guess some people seem to think because we have elections and we do things democratically, that automatically makes us a democracy. That's not what makes us a democracy. Or I should say, that's not what makes a democracy. Flagpoles at Trump's speech were Vatican banking, eagle wings down. Right? Danny Mayer Jr. out here on Facebook. You can't comply your way out of tyranny or vote away despotism. You know what I'm thinking. Absolutely. You know, fundamentally and principally, we're supposed to follow due process of law. We're supposed to petition. That's the First Amendment. Right? But Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England says for vindication of rights that we're supposed to fight in the judicial branch, then into the legislature, and then we can resort to arms, which is what's in many of the early documents there, like the Declaration for the Cause and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, July 6, 1775, the Declaration of Independence, that we have petitioned, we have remonstrated in the most humblest terms and only been met with repeated injuries. So they were following due process of law back then and only met with, further injuries. They were harassed and tracked down, and some were even murdered. Well, Smokey774 out here on Rumble, it is not a Confederate constitutional republic. It is just a Confederate republic. There's no such thing as constitutional republic. Constitution is actually part of common law, and that's supposed to be our fundamental law. The law of nations, the laws of nature, and the common law is supposed to be our fundamental law. Our fundamental law, which comes before the Constitution, was altered by the Code of Civil Procedure Act and implementing the Roman civil law, the Code. Now, that was in 1873 by Congressional Act in Congress. And then Idaho, I found it in Idaho, was in 1881. Sure, the Constitution is meant to regulate the federal... No, yeah, absolutely. The fact is that is the instrument of government. It creates government. But it's also supreme law of the land. Law of the land literally means due process of law. And due process of law comes from the common law. So, in a way, the Constitution is part of the common law. It's the common law of the land. Part of the fundamental law. So that's what a constitution is. It is an instrument of government. It's the contract of employment. Read Article 6, Clause 3. All the aforementioned senators and representatives and all the state legislatures and all of the executive and judicial, both state and federal, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. So they're required, they're the ones that are citizens, because that's pursuant to the Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, Subsection 212. That a citizen is a member of a civil society, government, so a member of government who is bound to perform certain duties and is subject to its authority. Who's the authority? The people. Because the people are the sovereign body politic, the power to create that instrument of government. So, can I explain a little on the implied powers clause? What clause would that be? I'm not familiar with the implied powers clause of the Constitution. Right? Right? The powers not delegated here, nor prohibited by it, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So before we even talk about powers that belong to government, what are the powers retained by the people? And then, whatever powers are left, well, technically speaking, it still all boils down to powers delegated. Right? That's what the Constitution is instrument of government. It delegates certain powers over certain subjects, subject matter jurisdiction. If it's not enumerated in the Constitution, they don't have that power over that subject. And again, back to American jurisprudence and volume 16 constitutional law there about constitutional provisions and delegations of power and that kind of stuff. It must state with particularity whether or not that it's directory or if it's mandatory. If it's mandatory language, or is there some sort of phrase in there that says that the legislature shall have authority to make appropriate legislation regarding this particular subject. Unlike Article 1, Section 8, right? That's a specific section of the Constitution that delegates the powers. Yeah, I actually have the Constitution pulled up, which is kind of what I was actually thinking about going over. But yeah, I mean, I've been over this before. Article 1, that's the legislative branch, okay? Legislative power vested. Let's look at Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted, so herein, shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Okay? House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications ready for electors for the most numerous branch of the state legislature. No person shall be a representative, shall not have attained the age of 25 years, so you got to be a minimum of 25 years old, and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. What that means is, in order to be a citizen of the United States, you have to become a member of the legislative, executive, or judicial branch. So for 7 years, you got to put in 7 years as a public servant before you can qualify on the federal level to be a representative. When vacancies have a representative in any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. Okay, so there's due process of law. What does it say? When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The executive being the governor. House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. That is a delegation of power. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof. For 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years, and be 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate shall choose their officers, and also President pro tempore in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. See? Impeachments are a two-step process and involves both the House and the Senate. Just because the House drafts the articles of impeachment does not mean they were impeached. Got to go through the trial to impeach them. So those out there saying that, well, Trump was impeached twice. No, he was not. That is a false statement. The Senate did not impeach Donald Trump. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Trump was not convicted of impeachment. Didn't happen. False statement. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. So see, it does, again, impeachment only goes so far as removal from office. Was Trump removed from office? No, he was not. It's because he wasn't impeached. Section 4, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. And what is it? The times and places and manner of holding elections. For senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. Not the executive, and it's the state. But the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. So there's an exception to that rule. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5, each house, there's people out there saying stupid crap to me about, there's the House of Representatives and then there's the Senate. No, it's the whole House. Okay. Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. Notice it uses the words members. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings. So, rules of procedure. Punish its members for disorderly behavior. And with occurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Now, right there in the Constitution, I've said this before on the National Assembly call, you got issues within your own group there of the people. All you got to have is a concurrence of 2/3 of the members present to expel them. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. Senators, representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses and in going to and returning from the same. This is what I talked about Thursday night there. And gave that as an example of privileges. And for any, now here's another one. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. Now, this whole hearing there just recently with RFK about censoring him, and that one woman there trying to claim that she can censor and that that's not freedom of speech and that's hate speech and all this other stuff. No. That's really what it really means about the right to freedom of speech is this right here. That we have the right to speak. Period. You're the servants, we're the masters. Sit down, shut up, and listen. Because when we, the people, speak, you're supposed to listen. Not argue with us, servant. We're the masters, not you. Read Article the 1st of the Bill of Rights. Now, being held responsible for the exercise of that right is called libel and slander. Not your shit made up called hate speech or any race baiting crap that you want to bring up. That's not how that works. The law is already the law before the legislative branch was even created. So let's get facts straight here. Our rights are the law. You're bound to, what? You're bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. And what does this Constitution secure? Our rights. Because governments are instituted among men, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men receiving their just powers under the consent of the governed. So, you don't get to interpret what freedom of speech means, nor do you get to make shit up such as, well, it's hate speech. What, because you hate to hear it? Is that what you're trying to say? You hate to hear it? Is it actually a breach of peace, such as threats of violence, which would be assault from the common law, a breach of peace, which is what that is right there? They shall in all cases accept treason, felony, and breach of the peace. Imagine that. Common law terms right there in the Constitution. So you don't get to make things up to try to subvert the right. And furthermore, under the right of petition, the right to remonstrate, or the right to address is a right and power retained by the people. You don't get to curtail that right. And then, man, did that woman just make up all sorts of lies, and RFK, he rebutted it and said, no, I denounce it. I didn't say that. That's not true. Me, I'd have been saying, hey, where's the evidence to support that claim? Shut her down right there on the spot. If you don't have the evidence to support that claim, you're in deep doo-doo. That's called libel. That's making false statements, defamation of character, twisting his words and taking things out of context, which is a play right out of the liberal nut jobs playbook. And then not only that, accusing us of exactly what they're doing. I'm glad that RFK was able to get some words in edgewise with that woman, and she still wanted to play on, pretending like, oh, well, just because you say, well, how about the other way around? Just because you say doesn't mean that it's true. And he challenged all of it. And you kept trying to silence him even then. Imagine that. Maybe the House ought to put it to a vote to have you removed, to expel the member. For disorderly behavior. You know, libel is a crime. Section 6, senators' representatives shall receive a compensation for their service, ascertained by law, paid out of the treasury, No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. No person holding the office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. No foreign emoluments. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes law, be presented to the President of the United States. Now, this is one of the powers of the President. If he approve, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it, with his objections to that house in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on the journal, and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by the yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays accepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary except on a question of adjournment shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and House of Representatives according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. That's for a resolution. Now, here it states, with particularity, the Congress, this is Article 1, Section 8, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excise, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excise shall be uniform throughout the United States. There we have it, right there. Congress is the one that has that power. But where? At the ports of entry. This is what Trump is talking about. Doing tariffs. That's what it's supposed to be. Those collecting taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. Because that gets into the next one. The third one down here. But the second one is to borrow money on the credit of the United States. Borrow money from who? I think they slipped that one in there. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. Federalist 45. It's to regulate foreign commerce between the states, foreign commerce between the Indian tribes. To establish uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. But right here, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. That is for immigration. To coin money. Regulate the value thereof and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. Wonder how much a dollar bill weighs. How much does a $5 bill weigh? How much does a $10 bill weigh? How much does a $50 bill or $20 bill or $50 to $100 bill? How much does it weigh? Oh, because it's not coin. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. Again, coin. Not paper. To establish post offices and post roads. To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to the respective writings and discoveries. Now, here's one of those ones where we go, oh, it's still courts of the United States. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. Now remember, Article 3, Section 1, it says the judicial power vested herein. And the jurisdiction that's enumerated there is admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Nothing else. Can't find anything else in there that says anything more than admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. Now, this is one of those times where I told you so. To define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations. Right there is how the law of nations is imported and ordained and established as part of the fundamental law for this nation called America. Because how else would we, the people, delegate to Congress to define and punish offenses against the law of nations if it isn't law that applies to this nation called America? It's right there. That's a fact. Letter of the law, as it is written. Now, here we go. What does it say? To declare war. Congress has the power to declare war. Grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. This is where you have to take into consideration even all of this, to constitute tribunals, to punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, and offenses against the law of nations. And then when they come on to the land, that's concerning captures on land. And especially if we declare war, they have the power to make the rules concerning the captures of our enemy on land and water. To raise and support armies. Congress is the one that has the authority to raise and support armies? Congress, huh? Wow, imagine that. But no appropriation of money to that use shall be for longer term than what? 2 years. This is the reason why every 2 years in the past war on this, war on drugs, war on this, war on that. It's always war on something, is to perpetuate this martial law that we've been under since 1871 because of this clause in the Constitution right here. War on terrorism. War on drugs. War on human trafficking now, right? Or how about corruption? That would be that Executive Order 13818 by Trump as Commander-in-Chief ordering. It's an executive order. It's a military order to order the military to execute the law, which he cites in the executive order that was created by Congress. All he's doing is executing the law that was created by Congress. He's doing his job as Commander-in-Chief. Those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption worldwide. That's all I can say. That's what's happening. That is what's happening, has been happening since December 20th of 2017. To provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. Wait, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. Wait, does that mean Congress has the authority over? Would that be the Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state? Imagine that. Kind of ties back into that, to raise and support armies. What's this? To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. So, how come Congress hasn't been doing their job? The militia. Not Border Patrol, not local police or anything like that. For this foreign invasion that's going on. How come they aren't doing it? To provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the disciplines prescribed by Congress. That's because that's the power that was delegated to Congress to regulate that militia. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts not exceeding 10 miles square as may by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of government of the United States. Washington, D.C. is not supposed to be an independent sovereign nation state, have its own constitution and statutes and the whole 9 yards. No, it's supposed to be just the seat of government. And that land is supposed to be ceded by particular states for the seat of government. That's it. not supposed to be an independent sovereign nation state. And to exercise like authority, right, over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state, in which the same shall be, that is mandatory language, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. That sure sounds an awful lot like military purposes to me. Or that dockyards, well, that would be for the Navy. Arsenals, that's where we keep the powder. Magazines, that's where we keep the ammunition. Forts, well, that's where we hold the fort down, right? That's all military stuff. Right? I mean, we all understand those words and the subject that it relates to. This is the thing, is we have to look at this as a whole. This is talking about the militia, army, the navy, declaring war. It's all about military. So, of course, their territorial jurisdiction, where the legislation would apply, only applies here at forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings on that land. So all this stuff where we call it national forest is unlawful and unconstitutional because it's not for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, or dockyards. That is unlawful and unconstitutional pursuant to this clause of delegation of territorial jurisdiction. Because that's what that's actually called. Territorial jurisdiction. Yep. Plain and simple. To make all laws, there's the next one, this is 18. To make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. The foregoing powers or any other powers vested by this Constitution. Like the sole power of impeachment. Because that's not in Article 1, Section 8. This is referring to the foregoing powers. The foregoing powers is Article 1, Section 8. Now, where does it say they have the power to create executive agencies? I missed it. Or maybe it's just not there. And then, even if that's true, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever, only over the district that's supposed to be the seat of government, and for these other needful buildings, erection of forts, that's all military. So that's all Admiralty jurisdiction. Every last bit of it is Admiralty jurisdiction. And gee, what courts would they be in? Would that be those tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court was delegated Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction? That's the only jurisdiction enumerated in Article 3. So I don't get why certain people out there are saying, oh, I want an Article 3 court. That's Admiralty jurisdiction. We already have those. Now, this is the one that Dillhole out there tried to argue with me about. Section 9. The migration or importation of such person as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808. But a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. See, this goes back to this. The statutes at large concerning slavery. Oh, would that be these acts right here? Part of the plan in 1787? And that what? An act to prohibit the importation of slaves in any port or place within the jurisdiction of the United States from and after the first day of January in the year of our Lord 1808. What? In the year 1800. Uh-oh. I'll be darned, the Constitution is in accordance with the statute? Or I should say, a statute is in accordance with the Constitution. Because the Constitution says this limits Congress's power of prohibiting the importation of anybody, migration, immigration. They can't do it until 1808. And then they did. The privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. Now this is one of those amendments. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. Yeah, we're supposed to have that census. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. Do they not do that? They don't care. They don't follow the Constitution. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. Because it's all supposed to be uniform. It's supposed to be done by Congress. The states can't impose that. Don't have that authority. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. Well, what happened with the Fed? The Fed just prints up money. One of my old-time favorites right here. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Esquire is in fact a title of nobility from the crown. From the Crown Temple Bar. From the king. Now, a lot of people might be aware of that original Article the 13th, which was ratified. Would be the last ratified amendment to the Constitution. And then it's right here in this, right? It's already right here that no titles of nobility. That was to provide the punishment or the effect of taking a title of nobility. Now, this also goes back to pointing out that that's how we're supposed to make law. I mean, why didn't they just do it as a bill and just pass it through as legislation like they do the code, right? Because that's how Roman civil law, the code works. They just make legislation. That's a bill of attainder. No, we make law through the Constitution, the law of the land, or supreme law of the land. So again, prima facie evidence of how we're supposed to be making law. And that so-called statutes are not law. That's policy. Because original Article 13 says anyone who does accept a title of nobility shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and can no longer hold any office of profit or trust under them. So all they did was provide basically the punishment for accepting a title of nobility from any king, prince, or foreign state. Why do we have that? And this was just recently brought up. Foreign Agent Registration Act. A foreign agent from a foreign state having some sort of a title of nobility? Reading means reading, folks. Now, by the way, Article 1, Section 9 is actually a prohibitions on federal. Article 1, Section 10 is prohibitions to the state. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender and payment of debts. Pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligations of a contract, or grant any title of nobility. So both federal and state are prohibited from granting titles of nobility. And they're not supposed to be passing bills of attainder. And we're supposed to have gold and silver coin. But the states can't even coin money, because that's the power delegated to Congress. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for the executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. That's all of the legislative branch. Where does it say that they have the power to create three-letter agencies? Where does it say they have the power to create FBI? No. It says that they're supposed to have a militia to raise and support armies, but no appropriation amount of that shall be for longer than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia. So, Land and naval forces. Would that be considered FBI and CIA and EPA? And no. No, because it's in the Declaration of Independence. No armed bodies of men. And that the military is under strict subordination to the civil power. But yeah, I didn't. I mean, there isn't anywhere in here where I could even, on my best day that I could construe that it meant that Congress had the power to create executive agencies, these three-letter agencies. I can't. I mean, that would be, I guess, this would be the closest one. But then it says to make rules, not to make law. Not to create. This is to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. I really just don't see where they can create executive agencies. No, I don't see it. Does anybody else? I mean, that's all of the legislative branch. That's all of Article 1. This is all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the Congress of the United States, which shall consist of Senate and House of Representatives. Where? I have just completely read all of Article 1. Nowhere in there does it say they have the power to create executive agencies. Because really, they're supposed to be regulating commerce and declaring war and regulating the militia. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. And this is why it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, because the people, that is the militia. That's the unorganized, the unregulated by Congress or state. But it's Congress is the one that's supposed to regulate that, not the states. They may elect their officers, the states, but nothing in there says anything about creating executive agencies. Ouch. I'm going to go to Article 3 real quick. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. Well, it already said they had the power to create tribunals that are inferior to this one Supreme Court. Judges both the Supreme Court and inferior court shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution and the laws of the United States, and treaties made which shall be made under their authority. To all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls. To all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. The only place that the word jurisdiction is mentioned here. To controversies to which the United States shall be a party. To controversy between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of a different state, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. That's that equitable interest in land. But see, again, people miss this part, arising under this Constitution. This Constitution. And all laws of the United States must be pursuant to this Constitution. So it's all pursuant to this Constitution. Which is pretty limited. In all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. Uh-oh. That means every time they go to, the state goes to sue us, and it's a state of whatever, versus us, well, the Supreme Court's supposed to have original jurisdiction. Meaning it must be filed in front of them. It must be heard in front of the Supreme Court. Period. That's what it says as it is written. Imagine that. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state wherein the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within a state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. So, in reading this and fully comprehending and then understanding, standing in agreement with what it says as it is written, well, it's right here. It says what it says as it is written. Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act, or on confession in open court. Now, this is kind of tricky here, right? Talking about treason. What are the enemies of the United States? Or should we say? Wouldn't that be tyrants? Tyranny? Despotism? Isn't that treason? Giving them aid? This is what we're calling the deep state, right? Deep state, there are enemies. Enemies from within. Now keep in mind what it says here. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. Military tribunals, folks, for treason. The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. Well, I wonder what Congress has declared what the punishment for treason is. Must be a capital offense because the law of nations says it's a capital offense. So that would be an offense against the law of nations, wouldn't it? And that's it. I mean, that's it for Article 3. Pretty simple, eh? And all we have left is the Article 2 here, executive branch. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators representatives to which the state may be entitled in Congress. But no senator, representative, or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. There's that amendment there. I think that's the 11th. The Congress may determine. Okay, so here he goes. What does it say? It says the Congress may. So Congress may do what? Determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. So they get to choose the dates and electors. Determine the time of choosing the electors, and the day they're supposed to give their votes. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So here's one of those positions where you don't have to be a citizen of the United States for a certain amount of time. You just got to be a natural-born citizen. Which also goes back to the Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, Subsection 212. Under that citizen, there's a paragraph in there that references natural-born citizen. And when they talk about this, they always refer to Vittel, Section 212. That's the Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, Subsection 212. The President shall say at times receipt for his service of compensation, which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period of which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter the execution of office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Again, the executive branch is to execute the law. There's no such thing as law enforcement officer. They are to execute the law. Essentially, the President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called in an actual service to the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject related to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for the offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Wait. For offenses against the United States, except for impeachment. He shall have power, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, to make treaties, provided 2/3 of senators present concur, and he shall nominate, and by with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States, whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. This might be it right there, right? But the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. Okay, so here we're kind of getting into this, but what are we actually talking about here? Commander-in-Chief of the Army and the Navy. Officers is part of the military. Now, the President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions, which shall expire at the end of their next session. Section 3. He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the state of the Union, and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may on extraordinary occasions convene both houses, or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Okay. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, I suppose if, but it says removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. So they have to be impeached and convicted. Well, we just covered all three branches of government per the federal Constitution. Article 5, that's specific to making amendments to the Constitution. What else is there? Article 4, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Section 2, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. Section 3. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states, or parts of states, without the consent of the legislature of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. The Congress shall have the power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular state. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. It does not say democracy. And shall protect each of them against invasion. Now, this is where I try to explain to people about what this is about doing petitions. And on application of the legislature, that's a petition, or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. This means internal insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the Constitution in war against the people. That's treason. That's what domestic violence is internal insurrection. They like to say, oh, the archaic meaning, the new meaning means violence between family members and that kind of stuff. No, Congress doesn't have the authority to redefine what we the people put in here as domestic violence, what this actually means, and then create due process of law, a process. No, power doesn't exist. Yeah, good to see you out there. Fix it fast. All right. I mean, we just pretty much read the entire Constitution other than, Article 5 and Article 6. The main parts of the whole entire Constitution. But I want to read Article 6 real quick so we get it. All debts contracted, engaged, and entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. See? There it is, right there. Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So it's right there. Anything that might be in a state constitution or laws of any state to the contrary is notwithstanding. And the judges should be bound thereby. Okay? Now, the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. That's what makes them citizens. but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification in the office of public trust under the United States. All right. So, put this out there real quick. This is the website, folks. Restore-America.org. Let's see if I can get that to pop up again. Bam! There it goes. When you come to this website, this should pop up as you scroll down. Restore America Interest Form. If you're interested in becoming one of the people and claiming your right to political power, the right to alter, reform, or abolish anything and any time we deem it necessary, please fill this out and join us. We, the people, need to peaceably reassemble government de jure, lawful government. Okay? Let's get her done, folks. Go ahead and peruse this website. Love the layout, the new look. Yep. And then our conference call on Thursday nights. This is over on the national-assembly.net. Second tab here next to the home, conference call info. Please download and install the free conference call app. Here's some tutorial videos for you, both for your smartphones, your desktop, laptops. And then to join the online meeting Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay? This is the link right down here to join the call. Now, in other words, yes, you can do the dial-in number if you're still not on a smartphone, don't have a desktop, don't have a laptop, don't have a tablet, don't have anything like that. Okay? That's fine. But there's the link for that. Right down here. Now, for me, my website, kirkslawcorner.com. Here's the links to my social media. I'm not sure if the Telegram one is working. Accepting donations through the mail here. I have Tier 1 and Tier 2 set up. $5 a month, $10 a month if you'd like to join that. Or you can just send it, your regular donations. Cash wrapped aluminum foil, gold, silver, coinage, anything like that. Any law books you think I might like to have. Over to my office, 6477 West Fairview Avenue, Suite G, Boise, Idaho 83704. Okay? Patreon, Tier 3, get you into Wednesday night workshops. Tier 4s for those looking for one-on-one time with me. Want some private education about your particular situations. Be happy to sit down with you and go over whatever you got going on and help educate you on what you can and can't do. Well, I wouldn't say can't do, but what you can do, more specifically, what the law is. Okay? Other than that, folks, have a wonderful night. God bless. And we'll see you Wednesday night workshop. Thursday night on the National Assembly call. And probably Friday night. Friday night fun night. Making a comeback. All right?